You know what it is. You know what it do. It's time for the Europa League. Finally, we had to wait for the the Champions League. Who really cares about that nonsense? We had to wait for the Europa League to come around. And the Europa League's first set of match days has happened, and I am going to make sure that you didn't miss anything. Mitch beat Sturm Graz. This continues the trend of the Austrian league just sucking for some reason, but a good win for Mitch. PAOK Thessaloniki had a 0-0 draw with Maccabi Tel Aviv. Particularly unlucky for PAOK Thessaloniki because, well, the all-Israeli teams look like they're about to get suspended, so that's the situation there. Real Betis and Nottingham Forest. Very, very fun Europa League matchup here between these two sides. Antony scored the equalizer in the second half. He is a terror against Premier League teams, as he always has been. Manchester United shout out. This also continues a sucky trend for Ange Postecoglou, who has now blown another lead while coaching for Nottingham Forest. But it was a very fun first half with 3 goals inside 10 minutes. And look, Premier League teams, even if it's Nottingham Forest, right, that's kind of getting back into Europe really for the first time, when they are here in European competition outside of the Champions League, they're basically always the favorite in almost every match that they're playing. So I would say this is a good result for Nottingham Forest, but they're probably upset, and obviously definitely with the way that it played out, that they didn't actually get the win. And also, this could have just been karma, because I think we all can acknowledge this should be Crystal Palace. They got screwed, and now they're playing in the Conference League while Nottingham Forest gets to prance around like they own the place in the Europa League or whatever. An interesting swing match between Braga and Feyenoord. These are obviously two teams from power leagues outside the top 5. The Netherlands and Portugal both can produce really good European sides, and Feyenoord obviously had a good run at it last year. Braga, though, impressive to hold down the fort and win at home 1-0. Always, seemingly, a team that's involved itself in Europe but never gets the same consideration as Sporting, Porto, and Benfica. They are capable, I think, this year particularly with the results that they've shown, of making a deeper run into some sort of knockout in the Europa League and making somebody go beat them in something like a quarterfinal. They're good enough to do that this year, and them being able to win a match like this kind of proves it. Red Star against Celtic. Very confusing times for the Scottish League in general. Right? They're just, I don't know. The results have just been weird. Now, I will never blame a team for not winning a road trip to Red Star. That is a hostile environment, very difficult team to play against. This, however, is not the best version of a Red Star team, and they did have the lead in the second half before Marko Arnautovic, yeah, he's there, scored a goal to equalize and make sure that Red Star stays alive here. It's a good point for a Red Star, and it's not the end of the world for Celtic to drop that initially. Now, the loss of Jose Mourinho is a bit hard. Fenerbahce loses 3-1 on the road in Croatia. Dinamo Zagreb, a team that is, very confusing in the sense they produce a lot of great players, and they obviously are able to, they created a stranglehold on the Croatian league, but they haven't really been able to produce that huge uppercut punch yet in Europe where they take out like a really big team. This is honestly one of the best European wins that I can remember for Dinamo Zagreb in the last, era where they've been who they've been. Fenerbahce obviously looks like they're going to drop down a bit of a level. This was a second half win for Dinamo Zagreb, and it was a bit of a strange match because the possession was with Fenerbahce. They had a lot of the ball, but as their former coach famously said, you can take the ball, we'll take the 3 points. Dinamo Zagreb had 1.5 XG. There was only 0.17 XG on the Fenerbahce side. They could not create anything on the road in this particular match, and Dinamo Zagreb will be... That's a very big 3 points for Dinamo Zagreb to hang up to get a win over Fenerbahce. You had Freiburg against Basel, the German side, able to win their first European match here, 2-1 over their Swiss opponents. Basel out in the wilderness for a few years, kind of behind the young boys of the world, and now they have managed to come back as the champions of Switzerland. They'll be a little disappointed they didn't get more from this game, but I'm sure they're happy to be here. They went down 2-0 early in the second half. Freiburg made the most of their chances. But this is very even. Even shots, even possession. XG was in the same ballpark. It was just Freiburg that had that cutting edge the extra quality allows. Then, a match that a lot of people seem weirded out by, I was not. Ludogorets, a very solid team from Bulgaria, goes to Sweden and wins 2-1. This is another sorting hat match. This is the type of match that's going to determine whether Malmo or Ludogorets gets into the knockouts, right? Who finishes in the top 24, who doesn't, right? Both of these teams are capable of it, but you kind of got to win a match like this, especially if you're Malmo at home, if you want to be comfortably in that top 24. So now they are already sweating. Right. Well, Ludogorets is very happy with this. They took a 2-goal lead in the first 23 minutes and dominated the match overall with over 3 XG. Obviously, there's one penalty in there that you have to consider for the XG, but it was only one. Right, and that's 0.75 XG. You create over 2 XG outside of a penalty, you're doing well. So alarm bells ringing for Malmo. Ludogorets looks like a team that might be able to cause some problems. And then Nice and Roma. We had another Power League matchup with Roma having to go on the road into France. This a sorting hat match for top 8, right? If you win this match as Roma, you're now feeling very good to get into the top 8, get that first round bye in the knockouts, right? You're a team, both these teams would have expected they had a shot to do that. Roma got both their goals in a 3-minute stretch in the second half before Terem Mofi, one of my favorite strikers, who's just kind of the quintessential advance forward, got a penalty. Not a super sexy game to watch. Right outside of the penalty, Nice didn't create a lot. Roma obviously got 2 goals out of that. They were not stacking up the numbers, but the tension was great. If you had an opportunity to catch a piece of this match, maybe watch the extended highlights, right? The tension was great, and Roma, always a weird team to me, was able to deliver on what they hoped they could get. And that was it for Wednesday. No Conference League, because remember the Conference League, they have they only play a smaller schedule. Right, they play 6 matches instead of 8, so they're not going yet. Go Ahead Eagles kicked off Thursday by going behind against FCSB. FCSB kind of weirdly bad results in qualifying, but they ended up stumbling into the Europa League anyways, and Romania's best team looks like they might be in line for a second straight season of playing incredibly well in Europe, because this is a great result for FCSB. To go into the Netherlands and come out with a win in Europe is a level that most Romanian teams for a long time, since winning a Champions League in the 80s, have not been able to get near. And FCSB obviously got into the knockouts nearly. They might have even been a bye in the first round. I think they got really close to a first round bye in the knockouts last year. They are here again, getting a good result again. And this is how you'd want to do it. Go Ahead Eagles did have 73% of the ball, but taking the points home. I don't know what that laugh was. Lille and Brann went up against each other. Brann is a tricky, difficult team to play against. This is a solid result for Lille. They got it real late, 80th minute from Olivier Giroud to give themselves the win. The Norwegian League is on the rise. Bodo Glimt has started to drag other teams up with them. And then one name that has jumped out to me during this qualifying stretch, it has been Brann. They've played very, very well in their qualifying performances. I expect them to be in the knockouts. I think Lille would also tell you that you would expect this team to be in the knockouts based off the way that they played there. Aston Villa, obviously. Very bizarre always to see a team like Aston Villa in Europe. It just looks weird to see that badge stepping out of England and playing Bologna. But Bologna is another weird, right? These are two teams that are very much not normally in Europe. Villa's making it a more normal occurrence, but Bologna is one of those damn, we're just happy to be here type clubs. And they played really well. They pushed Aston Villa to the second half. There was a penalty in the 68th minute that Villa missed that could have put the game away, but Bologna was able to actually make them sweat and push them in this game. They actually had more of the ball and over 1 XG in this match. They just couldn't find the goal. Villa definitely should have been winning this game, maybe even comfortably. So it's a little concerning perhaps that they're not, and it definitely shows that Bologna is not just fully a happy to be here type club. Even though they're obviously not a normal European club out of Italy, they intend on making the most of it, and they were very much up for this match. Impressive comeback by Ferencvaros here. Victoria Pilsen for the last couple of years has been a menace in Europe, consecutive knockout appearances in European competitions, but Ferencvaros from down a goal and down a man, they had a yellow card accumulation ejection in the 38th minute while already down 1-0, battled it all the way to the 94th minute, and then the absolute scenes in Hungary for Ferencvaros to claw back a point. This is one of those nights as a fan of a club where, I mean, it's just, you remember it for a long time. Like, remarkable Ferencvaros was able to hang in this game against a team that I and a lot of other people probably say is better, right? Victoria Pilsen has consistent, but the good thing for Ferencvaros, Pilsen's excellent in their organization and their defense. At the European level, they are not a great goal-scoring club. They can hang with anybody, but they could not blow away Ferencvaros, and Ferencvaros just found that moment, right? Any club can score 1 goal. They found their moment. They found their 94th minute goal, and even though that result's not going to go a long way to determining things for either side, that is a heartbreaker for Pilsen that they didn't just put those 3 points away to try and get on the way to the knockouts. Again, Rangers at home can't use the magic of the Ibrox and loses to Genk. 1-0, the Belgian side going into Scotland and coming out with the 3 points. We are seeing, certainly, a rise of Belgian football with Club Brugge. I was talking about it with Norway. The Belgian league is obviously at a bit of a higher level. Club Brugge is pushing on and blowing teams out. And now you see the level of the league is also matching that. It helped for Club Brugge that Rangers got a straight red in the 41st minute. But Genk, I said helped for Club Brugge. You know what I meant. Genk missed a penalty, but then the guy that missed the penalty, Oi Hyung-gu, he scored the next goal. So then they had another disallowed goal for Oi Hyung-gu. So this dude clearly taking his shirt off, celebrating, taking just the yellow card. Dominant performance from Genk, particularly after the red card for Rangers, and knowing those fans, they will not be very happy with the way that went in the Ibrox. Salzburg, Porto able to steal a win at Salzburg. RB Salzburg, not the team they once were, actually lost the league and fell into the wilderness for just a hot second, but they seem to have returned to their level a little bit coming into the Europa League. They nearly had this one. They had a goal disallowed in the 57th minute that looked like it might count, and then in the 93rd, Porto was able to find the goal that gives them the win that I'm sure they expected, right? A couple of years ago, you might have said that this was even, or maybe Salzburg would even be the favorite, but Porto is the better team right now, and they are able to go get the 3 points. Good for them. Stuttgart and Celta Vigo, another Power League matchup between Germany and Spain. Very exciting for Stuttgart to get a European win. They scored 2 goals in the second half before a late goal added some spice from Celta Vigo, but Stuttgart defending the home turf, right? Getting to play your home European match as a club like Stuttgart. It's a really fun, nice moment. Obviously, Stuttgart, a team that has introduced itself to Europe recently. Over the last couple of years, they have put themselves into European position. Obviously, they were the team outside of Bayer Leverkusen that really pushed Bayern Munich that one year that Leverkusen went unbeaten and actually won it. Stuttgart was right there with them. So a very impressively run club. They sold some of the guys that were on that team, like Serhou Guirassy, but they still seem a step above Celta Vigo, at least on their home field. Utrecht playing host to Lyon. Good win for the French league to go into Netherlands and pick up the dub. This was left late. It was Tanner Tessman, the American. America! Yeah! This guy's probably going to be on the U.S. World Cup team. He scores the goal for Lyon to give them the lead. I don't know why he's been in the wilderness when it comes to the national team. A lot of lowest scoring 1-0, 1-1 type games. And then there was this. Young boys at home in the mountains of Switzerland just smacked around by Panathinaikos, who squeaked in to the Europa League in qualifying. They kind of fell backwards into it, and now all of a sudden they're able to just drop a result like this. It was over before it started. The first time I saw the score in this match, it was already 3-1. They scored 3 goals in the first 19 minutes on the road, which that'll shut a crowd up, right? That'll get you going. The final tally is a bit more reflective of the fact that these teams are closer together than you would think in the result, right? When you see the XG is just 1.25, but it is possible to make the argument, right? The Panathinaikos got 3 goals in the first 19 minutes. You really just need to control the match from that point on, and you get your 3 points. You're not gunning for the back of the net. You're not trying to pump 6 or 7 on young boys and potentially give away a couple of goals, right? Phrasing. Anyways, Panathinaikos got the win, and the Europa League is off and running for everybody except for Ange, who's probably going to get taken out by the Greek mafia or something. I mean, you blew another lead. It's tough.